the Improv Summit. As always, I'm your host, Spencer, and with me today I have a wonderful guest with me, Grady. Grady, how are you doing today?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm good. There's a lot happening in the world and in
Yep.
time and space. As we can see, you're in
Oh
space.
man.
So a lot
Yeah, I
going
thought
on in
I'd hang
space.
out here.
Yeah, I've never had a guest, zoom in from space, so this is really exciting. It's a new place, a new space, a new location. I love it. I love it. We
I
got
was
all
squatting in
the
the
space in
ISS,
the
but
world.
my farts were too rank, so they kicked me out. So I'm just kind of chilling here in high
Is that what I
altitude,
smelled
and
the
it's
other day?
nice. Yeah,
There's like something in the
yeah,
air. I couldn't quite make it out.
that was me.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. I
You're welcome.
think it's lingering. Or maybe it's just the LA smog. I don't really know.
Oh, that's it. Already
Yeah.
devolved into fart humor. Yeah.
You know what? I teach kids a lot, so I'm a big fan of fart jokes. That's all I
Me
gotta say.
too.
Like, okay, so I gotta get on this real quick before we dive into your improv background.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I remember doing an improv class. I will never forget this moment. I was teaching kids, and I was like, "Can I get a suggestion?" Poop. Okay. Okay. Great. I love that suggestion.
Always.
Let's get another suggestion. Maybe not poop. Okay. Pee. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. So like, I was like, okay, no poop or pee. Let's not think about poop or pee. What else? Vomit. Okay. Great. I said, you know what? Let's just get an object like a box. Okay, like a location, like a box. What can we do? And then go a box. And I was like, okay, but something like a box. A big box. And I said, okay, great, a big box. And I was like, all right, let's do the scene though. Okay, great. You're in a big box, but let's not make the scene about the box. Okay. Okay, great. They get in the box. They get in the box. Hey, you want to come sit in this box with me? Yeah. Okay.
It's
I love kids.
anti-comedy. It's the best.
I
I
love
love it.
kids. It was just the
They're the
funniest
best.
moment. It like felt like very like Abbott and Costello or something. Like
Uh-huh.
who's on first, what's on second. I was like, okay, great.
Uh-huh.
Let's not make this about the box. First line. Box, 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 box. Let's get in the box.
It's like the Monty Python trying to burn the witch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man,
I was
that's
like,
great.
great. So listen to what I say, which means don't listen to what I say because
Uh,
it's opposite day. I just thought it was funny the run of like, okay, let's think about something other than poop. Pee. Okay, nothing that's
yeah,
like
you're
poop or
gonna
pee.
take my
Vomit.
bodily waste suggestion whether you like it or not.
It was just so funny. And then
Love
the
them.
next scene I remember, it was like, okay, great, let's get a location, and it was like ice cream shop. Great, ice cream shop. And then there, hey, you want to get in this box with me? We're gonna go to the ice cream shop in this box. I was like, no, take the box out. There's no box. But then I literally went, you know what? Yes, and this is
Yeah,
yes, and
there's a
like that's
box.
you're you're
Go
you're
nuts with
doing this.
this box, kid.
It
That's
was
great.
such a great moment.
I love
That
it.
being said, that's the improv background of that one day I had with kids. No, I'm just kidding. I taught more than one day of kids with improv. But that being said, what is your improv background? Whatever that means to you. That's such a
Oh
very
man.
answer.
Yeah, I actually got started as a kid. My parents are both performers. They're actors and singers. And in Dallas, where I grew up, they were a part of this organization called Young Audiences,
Hmm.
where all these different acts for kids could be hired out by like schools and libraries to come perform. And my parents were a part of a couple of them. And every like 6 months, or maybe it was once a year, like at the beginning of the school year or something, they would have this showcase at a local community college where all of these acts would like post up in a different classroom, and principals and teachers and librarians could come and go see all of these acts and decide like who they wanted to book out to
Hmm.
come to their place. And one of the acts was called Kidprov. And so I was like 7, 8 years old, maybe.
Hmm.
And I would go with my parents to the Young Audiences Showcase, and I would just post up in their room all day. And I would watch their shows just one after another.
That's awesome.
I was immediate. I was a moth to flame. It was just the greatest thing I had ever seen. These people
Yeah.
making this shit up on the spot. And they would bring me up for suggestions. Like they would bring me up as a volunteer constantly because I was like the only kid in there. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
me. And they were like, great, we can show the people what it looks like when we bring a kid up as a volunteer. And so that was like my first introduction into improv. And then I did some like comedy. I guess I took some improv classes with the Dallas Children's Theater. I did a lot with the
Mm.
Children's Theater once I kind of discovered theater in middle school. Um, and then went to the Performing Arts High School, was in the improv troupe there. Uh, like improv was just part of my life from the beginning. You know, I
Mm.
was watching Best of Chris Farley SNL, and Mad TV was just starting, so I was kind of being introduced to sketch comedy as well, and Monty Python Flying Circus I was watching a bunch as a kid. All of that is written, of course, but that sort of, you know, short form comedy was all I was just steeped in it as a kid.
Mm.
And then went off to film school and didn't come back to theater and improv until I started taking classes at Second City. I remember sitting by a pool in Studio City with a couple of my film school friends, and one of them, Travis, turned to me and he was like, Grady, do you want to take a class with me at Second City? I was like, oh, fuck yes. That is what I want to do. That's what my life has been missing for like the last 6 years. What have I been doing? And yeah, I've been just improvising as much as I can ever since then.
That's awesome.
Uh, yeah, it's
I was
kind of
gonna
like
say,
my origin story, I guess.
yeah, it's great. I was gonna say, you brought up film, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have a master's in film production, and I think what's interesting is the very first class they have us take is an acting class.
Oh,
And
cool.
all the directors are like, oh, I can't, cinematographers, I can't do it. And our acting teacher is very specific to acting. She's an actor. She's like a SAG actress.
Yeah.
But she basically was like, in order to be able to direct an actor, you have to understand from the actor's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who was an actor and then did the directing and then, kind of am doing both, I was like, this makes a lot of sense because as an actor, I'll get directed on set or, in a show, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. But then when I go and have to direct an actor, I'm like, oh, what am I thinking? And so I think what's fascinating is about improv is that really as a director, I was able to one hone my acting skills, but also being
Mm-hmm.
able to hone the improv because when we're directing actors, it's like, okay, great, that was a great take. Now we need to do it again. I have to be able to direct them into doing it a different way. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of improvising my explanation. Like I remember one time for my thesis, I had a scene and I couldn't get the actor to do what I wanted. And I was using all these verbs because we're taught to use like verbs like embrace this or henpeck or whatever. And it really helps because it gives a verb as opposed to an adjective. And I could not figure out what to do with this actor. I was like, I can't. I know what I want, and I know that he is understanding what I'm asking of him, but I can't quite articulate what I want to him in a way that makes sense for him. And at one point, I was like, let me try it. Let me try a metaphor. And so I said, can you try it this time as like start the scene as a puppy dog and then end the scene as a bulldog? I just like humor me. And he's like, yeah, sure, I think so. Right away that take, got it. And I was like, okay, animal metaphor work.
Nice.
And it's that idea of like it was so like not what I expected to say, but like with the improv idea, it really allowed me to go, okay, I need to like think of something. I need to think quickly because I can't just sit here and wait 20 minutes to figure out the exact words to say. So what do I want to say and how can I do it in a different way quickly? And that kind of relates back to improv. And so I think it's great that you said film because leading into another question that I have, a lot of people think that improv is specifically only for actors and performers because agents are like you have to have acting, improv on your resume and this and that and the other.
Right.
But I have found through improv, there's been a lot of like daily life skills that I've learned that I've taken outside of performance. what are some of the elements of improv that you've taken and used in your daily life outside of like entertainment?
Oh, wow. I mean, I we improvise everything every day,
Mhm.
really, to like put it broadly, but we really are. We're
Everyone,
all
take a note of that. Take a note of
yeah,
that. If you're listening or
we're
watching,
just
take a note of that. Conversations are improvised.
yeah, but yeah, more than just that, just life. We're just making this up as we go, and none of us knows what we're doing. No matter how old and experienced you are, nobody knows what the heck we're doing. We're all just flying by the seat of our pants. And I think that I have found personally that the training I've gotten in improv and the experience I've gotten has helped me uh like listen and relate to the people around me, which leads to just better experiences with
Mhm.
your coworkers, with your friends, with your relationships, with your family, with everybody. If um improv improv taught well can teach you how to like break out of your own preconceived notions of what something is supposed to be and listen to somebody else and adapt or relate to somebody based on their experience and their point of view, because it's all about point of view. And so like just on a practical level, I found that I'm really good at customer service. I was really good in retail because
Mm.
I was able to listen and relate to the people that I was helping. It helped me immensely in all of my film experience. I worked a long time as a camera assistant,
Mm-hmm.
and working camera team is constant improvisation
Oh yeah.
because the film set, everything is changing constantly, and
Mhm.
camera always has to be the first thing ready. So you have to be listening to everything that's happening and preparing to improvise on how to adjust to whatever the changing circumstances are in the scene, where you're going to next. Just it's
Mhm.
such a weird balance between like the technical side of a camera and the like fluid artistic improvisational side of like running a camera team and being on a
Sure.
camera team.
It's like
um
what I'm now going to dub the left brain, right brain complex,
yeah,
where
exactly.
and this is like one thing like going off of this that really I've discovered with my improv is to not like there's a balance between the left brain and the right brain. There's a balance between the logistics and a balance with the creativity.
Sure.
When I did improv, I was like logistics, 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 logistics. I have to get every step right. And
Yeah.
with improv, most of the time there's not a like every way is right. And so then my
Mm-hmm.
brain was going, well, if every way is right, then I don't know which one is right. And it's like I just
Yeah.
said everyone is right, so
Yeah.
then there is no wrong way. And so then I started to realize as I felt more confident with improv, which confidence is a big thing that I learned in improv.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to feel like I'm able to balance the left and the right brain a little bit more of like, what does this scene need? Oh, I can plug in this, but I'm not thinking about it as much. I'm not like, oh, okay, we just had two scenes with two people. They're all 2 minutes each. Now I got to do a scene that's shorter, and I got to get three people in there, and I got to
Yeah.
like that's what
Yeah.
I started to do before. And sometimes people I remember was in my 5V show at IO. Um, Someone goes, Spencer, you like got to get on stage, like you just like never go out. And I literally went. I'm so focused on editing, just pull me on stage and I will do a scene. Because I was just like, I was in the back, like you see me like doing this, like waiting to edit, but I'm so focused on logistics that I was forgetting to like
Oh
even
my
go on stage
god.
and do a scene. And so
Obsessed with form.
I was like, literally just pull me out on stage and I will do a scene.
Oh
So, but I
man.
started to balance that. But yeah, as you
Yeah.
were saying, like with camera too, for those that don't know, I mean, camera, you're dealing with marks, you're dealing with focus, you're dealing, I mean, depending on the size of your crew, you're dealing with measurements. There's a lot of things, and it's like you got to improvise. If you have the, actors 3 feet away and you got the mark set for focus there, and the actor steps 3.5 feet away, into their spot. You got to be able to quickly improvise and refocus into that wherever that actor is, so you don't just have soft focus the whole time. So it is that's a great example of improvising on the fly. I feel like that's kind of redundant, but
but it's true. Like film sets are just constant problem solving, and you have to improvise all your problem solving, because no matter how big a budget you have, no matter how much you prepare, things are going to change and things are going to go wrong, and you just have to adapt. So that it helped me a lot in being a camera assistant, which I don't really do anymore, but
right.
I did for a while.
But there's always a solution, I've learned. Like when I was producing stuff on set, eventually something would go wrong and I would just go, well, I didn't plan for it. There's nothing I can do. Whoops.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's like, we ran out of batteries. Well, whose fault is that? It's like, oh, wait, let me
Guess we
just
don't
go
have a
run and
camera.
yeah. Guess, it's like, oh, wait, let me just go run and get some real quick. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, it's like feeling like everything was set. And if plan A goes awry, I have to have like a plan B. At least I have to. That's how I process. I have to have a plan B, C, and D. But even if you have a plan A and something doesn't work and you don't have a plan B, there's always a solution. That's the biggest thing is, and so I think that's another thing that I've gained from improv. It sounds like it was helpful for you, but also could be helpful for other people. Is in improv you don't really have a plan B, C, or D because you're not planning ahead of time. But
Nope.
you do have a plan B, C, and D because if you can't figure out what you're doing in the scene, you will figure it out. You'll discover it, start doing a physical choice, start saying something. You could literally, if you don't understand what someone said, you could go, wait, what? Like you could react to it and have them like repeat it, right?
Yeah.
Or like, all right, let me get this straight. So you're telling me what now? Like, and so I think that's like another, like it's almost like a tool for your tool belt in improv
Totally.
is the ability to adapt the plan because there is no plan going plan. The plan is there's no plan. No plan is plan A. Plan B is no plan of the plan. Plan C is no plan of the plan of the plan. So
Yeah.
it's like this idea. So I think like now I can go on like a tangent about this all day. But it's not my it's my show. But it's not my I'm not the guest. Anyways, let's move on.
I get it though. It helps you. It helps train your brain to recognize when it's okay to deviate from a plan and make a new plan.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, because in improv we have forms and you stick to that form, you play a game even in short form, but eventually you hit a part where it's like, oh, this is where I can make that left turn, and you just roll with it.
Yeah, and it's even on that, it's like thinking about it, like with some shows you get like guest volunteers. And it's like I mean, I'll just like with really
Dealing with
awesome improv show,
strangers.
yeah. Well, like with really awesome improv show, one of the things that's interesting is, bringing up kids. That's because the show is family friendly, bringing up kids, or like with comedy sports, also bringing up a lot of times if there's kids in the audience, you bring up the kids. But sometimes the kids will be like, I want to do it. Then they get on stage and they're like really shy and you want them to repeat something. And so getting them to repeat something can be tricky.
Yeah.
Or it's like, but it's like finding a way to support them. Like, even if it's two people in a scene and the one person's like, hey, what do you want me to say to them? What do you want? Like, and
Yeah.
it's going back and forth. It's making that, it's supporting whoever's on stage, whether it's a player or a volunteer or an improviser, whatever it is. And I think that also has to do with it because you have to be ready for anything in improv.
Yep.
And so that's plan B is ready for ready to have fun, ready to
Ready to
fail,
yes and.
ready to listen, ready to yes and ready to be ready.
Yeah.
I guess is that. Which speaking of games, there are so many games that exist in the world of improv, and I feel like I've made up some as I've gone through pandemic. I'm like, oh, let's play this game. Everyone knows this one, yeah? No, okay, let me explain it. It's basically like if you took this game and put it with this game and then divided it by this game, you get this game.
Totally.
But that being said, are there any games that you like to play either like in a short form show or before a warm up for a long form show, or like any type of games that you like to play and how you like to use them for improv?
I mean, there are some like sort of old favorites and standards that I've always enjoyed. Just like The 3-line scenes I liked because it really does help you kind of get bad ideas just out of your head, so that they're not like just stuck there, like, little chiggers just like stuck in your brain waiting to come out in a scene on stage. Um,
Or you're like, this is
and
the funniest joke I ever had, but
yeah,
it's not like it's like you're like waiting to use it somewhere. It's like use it in the warm up.
exactly. Yeah, it's like, no, it's terrible. Get rid of it. Same with like five things, just things that make you like think really quickly. Um,
Oh, and five
but
things. My favorite with five things is it's like literally. I remember when I explained it, or when everyone explains it, they're like, literally, don't think. Say the first five things that come to mind, even if it doesn't
yeah,
make sense, and you still get like, okay, five five ice cream toppings that don't exist, and people are like, uh, oof,
all
I
you
gotta
can
think
think
of a
of are
good.
ones that do exist.
Yeah, strawberry vanilla.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like a big scoop, smaller scoop, trees, finger punch, like this glasses, like I mean whatever, like it really doesn't matter.
Yep,
That game.
doesn't matter. But there is one game I discovered recently, and I haven't been able to use it in an improv setting yet, but I can't wait to. One thing I really like to do is two man. I had a two-man team at IO a while ago that really enjoyed, and doing long form classes whenever we did or two-person scenes was like some of my favorite stuff. So there's a card game I discovered recently called The Mind, and it's a deck of 100 cards, 1 through 100, and you deal out so many cards to each player, and they just have to make eye contact, not say anything, and play their cards from lowest to highest, just like feeling who has the next highest card. And it's a real trip to play with somebody, especially somebody you know really well.
Mm.
Like I've played it with close friends, I've played it with girls I've dated, and it's like you really get in this like locked in zone. And it feels like it would be such a great warm-up game for a two-person scene, because then you really just get in that zone. It's not, because when you're doing one of those kinds of scenes, it's not about like coming up with the weirdest shit you can. It's about like really listening and responding to the last thing the person in front of you said for the whole show. I love those. So it's called The Mind, and I can't wait to use it one day
That's awesome.
backstage. It's a really awesome game. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to show me one day. One day, I gotta
Yeah,
check
man.
it. One day, soon. One
One
day
day.
soon.
One day soon.
I'll say soon. You know. One. Wait, no, I was thinking one day soon, but it's
One
one
day
day more.
soon. Just one soon.
Controversial opinion. That's not my favorite show.
Well, I won't judge you for it.
um,
Controversial opinion. I loved the movie.
yeah, that's a controversial opinion for sure. Because
Yeah.
I could talk about the amount of nosebleeds, I like noses, that I saw during that. Like, I dreamed a dream when time
Oh,
got
love
by,
it.
or one
Love
day
it.
more, jumped
Brilliant.
out of stars. Like, there's a
Love it
lot of noses.
so much.
I
Give me
wasn't
all the
quite that nosy.
noses.
I wasn't quite that nosy. Just kidding.
Uh-uh.
I have to get a pun in here somewhere on every episode. I think I missed it one time, and I'm like knocking myself for it. Like, I tried, and
Failed.
then yeah, but I don't want to get too nosy with Les Mis. We could talk about cats too, but we won't get into that because they're the same director.
Never seen it. Can't say anything about it.
I will just say it's a treat. It's a treat. Whether it's a sweet treat is a question,
Uh-huh.
but it's a treat. It is a treat. Let me tell you, it is.
It's just a morsel of something.
It is. I'm just going to quickly spoil this before I get too much on a tangent. So I'm going to spoil cats for you, okay?
Great.
So what happens? I've never seen the actual musical, so apparently it's not necessarily. I mean, the movie has its own like interesting things, like the uncanny valley idea. But with the musical, it's about a bunch of cats who are like basically like, there's gonna be a ball, and so they're all like, I'm the skinny cat, I'm the
Yeah.
weird cat, I'm the fun cat, I'm the cat
Yeah.
that dances, and they all just kind of like list who they are, and they're choosing which cat's gonna go to the Heaviside layer. Now,
Yep.
the Heaviside layer is basically they're sending a cat to heaven, and
Yep.
they're never gonna be seen again. So I went to see this with my mom in theaters, and she has never seen Cats. She has no idea like what Cats is, other than like she knows it's about cats. And so I uh I told her I said what, and like I was like, what do you think at the very end? And she goes, so the whole movie is them naming themselves and deciding who they're gonna send to heaven. What was the point? I was like, yeah, that's pretty much it.
What is the point indeed?
So I so I think my mom hit it on the head. It's like it goes back to like the musical itself winning all these Tony Awards and people like being obsessed with it because it was such a unique, fascinating thing back in the 80s with like people dressed as cats. But then like now you're like that was a thing. But because it was so groundbreaking for its time, that doing that movie 30 plus years later doesn't feel like it matches, except for there's supposed to be like an animated version. I think that would have worked, maybe a
Oh
little bit
yeah.
better,
Yeah.
because it is a movie about cats.
Yep.
Um, but enough about cats. Let's talk about improv.
Yep.
Were there, as you were like performing improv or teaching improv, coaching improv, watching improv, whatever it is, were there any like aha moments for you as an improviser? And what I mean by that is when I was doing improv, I was like, I have to like either understand improv or I don't understand improv, like the entirety of improv. And then I slowly realized like, oh, I get what you mean by like the pressure's off when I'm on stage and like more pressure's on when I'm trying to edit, or like, oh, I understand making physical choices. Like I have these little moments where things click in. Or were there any aha moments for you in improv that you're like, oh, I get this now, that like really stick out to you?
Yep. Yep. For sure. I've had a just murderer's row of great LA improv teachers between Second City Hollywood and iOS, which is where I did most of my studying, um, or training. And ones that really stand out were my improv 3 teacher, I believe. I think it was improv 3, was Jenna Jolovitz.
Mm,
And she, I love her to death.
yeah,
She was so no nonsense. And for some people, I think some people were like shocked by it because improv teachers are notoriously just like constantly supportive. It's like you can do no wrong. And it's like, okay, but also like we're trying to learn things here. So maybe have some constructive criticism
yeah. I
sometimes.
need the tough love.
Yeah,
I need
exactly.
something. I need something in there.
Jenna is all about that tough love. You'd be in the middle of a scene with somebody and she would go, no, no, stand up, walk up to in between you two, put her hand on your shoulder, say, listen to what they just said. Say it again. Give me that line again. And they'd say it. She'd go, you hear that? How does that make you feel? Continue. It's like, right. We're supposed to listen to them and react with our emotions to what they're saying. It was such a huge it was an aha moment when she did that, at least once. I remember one time in particular, she probably did it to me, and that was when I was like, oh, right, I'm not trying to manufacture something, I'm just responding emotionally to what they just said. And as somebody who grew up with a bunch of just like acting training, that like really spoke to me.
Hmm.
I had a lot more acting training than comedy training, so that kind of like emotional response um really spoke to me. And then another one that stands out, to me that kind of like in a way counterpoints Jenna's point, but
Hmm.
also can work with it was I had Brian James O'Connell, BOC, as my
BFT,
as
who's
my
done
level
three
two.
episodes of this show.
Oh, awesome. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out BOC, NCSA,
Hey, watch
represent women's
Helden. Watch Helden on Sci-Fi.
yeah, watch Elden. Um, so BOC was my level two teacher at IO West,
Mm,
and he would constantly say, no mistakes, only opportunities. No mistakes, only opportunities. I was like, right,
yep.
I gotta quit beating myself up about things that I would say and then second guess them. It's just like that is now truth, and it is an opportunity to explore that truth. So just do that. Don't worry about what if C choice was better. It doesn't matter. This is now what's here, and that is the opportunity. So run with it. And that,
Yeah.
oh man, and but also his whole just like lessons on deconstruction were fascinating to me. I
I
loved
had
that.
him for level 2 at IO.
Hmm.
And level 1, I think I had Molly Erdman. Great. I loved all of my IO teachers. I mean, I loved all of my teachers. I mean, I don't think I had a teacher I didn't like. Maybe some of their styles weren't like wasn't quite the greatest for my needs,
Sure.
but overall, I wasn't like, oh, I couldn't stand this class because of the teacher. Like, I loved every teacher I had. But so level 1 was Molly, super supportive, super nice, great with constructive feedback. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll take another level because that was my first like real like foray into improv. I did improv in my
Oh, cool.
hometown, but like coming out to LA, I was like, this is like me as an actor and director doing improv. So it was like a whole
Hmm.
new like mindset. And I did like some classes in my hometown for like a year. I mean, there wasn't like much happening. So then I was like, okay, I kind of like this. I'll do another class. And then I got to level 2 and like I had BOC and I was like, I'm not sure if I want to keep doing improv. Like I just don't know like what the benefit is for me. And his class like really made me go, huh, there's so much to improv. Let me do another class. Let me do another
Yeah.
one. And then I did musical improv first, actually, now that I think about it. I did the musical improv at IO before I took an improv class.
Oh, wow.
And because apparently they didn't have any requirements, which I thought was also kind of interesting, but I took it because I was like, oh, I have a degree in music. Of course I'll do great at musical improv.
Yeah.
Thinking that was going to be a thing. And I had fun. Like, I really enjoyed it, but having that improv 1 and that improv 2 foundation really helped me with the musical improv. But I think lessons from like Molly, from BOC, Jason, Colleen, Zach,
Yep.
like the
Yep.
IO crew, Holly,
Yep.
really having started with iOS because of the support and the critique, constructive criticism, but I would almost say like supportive anecdotes. I don't know. That's not the. I didn't try. I tried something. It didn't work. Anyway, the point is, I think IO was such an opening space for me as a student that it allowed me to be like, okay, I like improv. Let me go to different places. And so I started to, branch out. I did Second City. I think I was doing Second City, UCB, and comedy sports all at the same time. It was a
Wow.
lot. It was a lot. I remember at one point I was taking, I think it was 4 improv classes a week, um, at different schools. So it was a lot
That's
because
a
they all have
lot.
different styles.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I was doing like a musical improv. Oh, I think I was doing musical improv. I was in grad review. I was doing, I think comedy sports and like a UCB class all at the same time. But anyways,
Wow.
so what it allowed me to realize is like with great supportive teachers or teachers who give me feedback that I can use, like juicy feedback, it makes me want to keep doing it because
Hmm.
one, inevitably they're seeing something that I'm able to do because they want to give me notes. They want to push me to be the best improviser I can be. They're not just like, good job, you'll never make it, good job. They're like, cool, cool idea. What about maybe like this? Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's amazing, right?
Hmm.
Because they want me to, if I want to keep pursuing this, they want to allow me to be the best I can be. But two, it makes me feel like I'm getting my money's worth or my time worth or the what I want out of improv. And so it's
Hmm.
always been great. And then of course even, being on teams or performing on teams, I'm like, I'm not like a master improviser. I definitely have room to grow. But I've learned that doing it is another way to get better at it. Just getting the reps in has been super helpful for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
That being said, no, go ahead.
I mean, that's the only way to really learn improv is to do it. You can listen to people talk about theory and form all day long and play games all day long, but it's not going to click for you until you do it.
Right. And I think what's interesting is like I'm a big fan of like if I like a teacher, I want to keep like taking classes with the same teacher. But I had a teacher who I had taken with a lot, and that teacher said, I love that you love taking classes with me. Take classes with someone else too.
Yeah.
See how I mean it was a musical improv, the only musical improv teacher, so it kind of was like I had
uh,
no choice with the musical improv.
sure.
But the teacher was like, take with different people. Like she was like, I'm teaching like a regular improv class, but I suggest you take it with someone else just so you can get different learning styles and see like what other how other people are teaching, and so you can learn things in different ways and gather that knowledge. And I was like, oh, this is such a great idea. I was like, I love you, but also like I love the idea of taking with different teachers and seeing where things click, because again there's this idea of coaching. If I want to have a coach, if I'm on an improv team, who like if I'm starting an improv team, I can be like, oh, I really clicked with this one teacher, I can get them to coach my team
Yeah.
and then take classes with other people. And so I think that it was such a like an interesting thing to think about. And I mean, inevitably sometimes I just had the same teacher twice because of how scheduling worked out, but the amount of teachers I had, they were so different and vast, and that's what I loved about learning, especially at different schools, because I had different schools where you have teachers who might teach at different ones. But it's like if I'm taking a class at UCB and I'm not quite figuring something out, they're like, you just said, like player, do you do comedy sports? It's like, yeah, I do comedy sports. It's like, okay, so think about it like this. If you're thinking about it with comedy sports, think about it like this. And so they would be able to transfer analogies from different schools to help me understand. And they're like, so that's what we mean by this when we say this. And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, I got it. And
Hmm.
so luckily with that, it was a teachers were able to help me figure out like with my mind going to different locations, Second City, IO, UCB, Comedy Sports, Rogue, Impro, like all these different places, they're able to help me transfer the knowledge from one place to another by wording it in the way that that school's philosophy is built. And I was like, okay, because I say game a lot on this show, which there's only one school that really relies heavily on game. But every improv school has a game in itself of its own. They just don't call it a game, and it's played different, or there's something different to it. But yeah, so that's I don't know where I was going with this, but yes,
Well, I
that's
think it speaks
what
to
I would say.
the that speaks to the importance of getting a variety of instructors and schools of thought, because all of these people that you were taking from heard what you were saying, knew where it came from, because they also took classes and were experienced from all these different places. And that's why they are now teaching you, because they were able to absorb all of these different methods. There's no one right way to do improv, just like there's no one right way to acting or
Right,
anything else. I don't know, maybe brain surgery. Maybe there's only one right
sure,
way to do that. Or
yeah,
building, no, not even
building a house,
can't think of anything. Yeah, I was gonna say building a rocket, but even then we're constantly changing how we build
yeah.
rockets. So
Yeah, and
uh
I think that's great though, because if you think about it, it's like people are like, "Oh, improv, it's like this thing." It's like, but it is, but it's not. Like
yeah,
improv is literally anything you want it to be. And it's like think of
right.
it as like almost like a cafeteria, right? You've got all your different types of entrees or like a buffet. You can take a little bit of this, you can take a little bit of that, and then if you, oh, I didn't like this so much, but I really like this, I'm gonna go back and get more of this. And it's like if you didn't like something, that's okay. If you love
Yeah,
something, you keep doing it.
yeah.
And I think that that's that's a really exciting thing, which actually will lead into that final question I have. But before we do that, Do you have any plugs or pitches, any shout outs? This is your time to do whatever you want.
Oh yeah, sure. So I'm the lead singer of a comedy rock band called Hell Cross. That's cross with a K.
And hell
And
with an H.
yep, Hell with an H, Hell space Kross, Hell Cross. And we're a comedy rock band, and we all actually met each other through these LA comedy communities. We all met through Second City and IO and UCB. And we have some music videos, but also a web series on YouTube called American World Tour. And they're very short episodes. There's 19 episodes, but they're all like 1 to 3 minutes. You can watch the whole thing in maybe an hour. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, don't watch the whole thing. Watch a couple of them. But it's us as a band on tour. So the entire show takes place on the bus. We rented a bus and we basically shot 19 sketches about a rock band on a tour bus. And I think they're pretty dang funny. And we've got 3 music videos on our YouTube as well. You can find all of this on our YouTube, youtube.com/hellcross.
With a K and an H.
With a K and an H. Not in that order, with an H and then a K. Yeah, so check them out.
Otherwise, you're cross the hell.
Oh man, you want to cross hell. It's hot. And follow us on the socials because we're cooking up other stuff. We've got some other like songs and videos in the works, and once we're all back together, we'll probably try to shoot a second season of our show. So
nice. Definitely check it out.
Yeah,
definitely check out the link below because it'll be in the comments.
Oh, dope.
So if you forget, you can just click on the clickety link because YouTube allows
link.
links to be clickable as if they're YouTube links, but not if they're not. So if they're YouTube links, you can just click on it. If not, just copy and paste it. It'll work the same way.
There you go. Do all that.
So, Grady, thanks for joining me. As always, I
course.
have one final question, which is
Yes.
the reason I do this improv summit. As you can see behind me with this lovely photoshopped image that I spent hours doing, clearly, with the chalkboard font in Photoshop. For some reason, I love this chalkboard font. Very bright yellow, but it stands
Wonderful.
out. The head improv summit, because it's my head right here. Anyway, that being said, one of the reasons I'm doing this whole improv summit thing is because before pandemic, but even now, I have people who come up to me, and by come up to me, I mean in person, not like on Zoom. They're not just like, I'm walking into your Zoom. That would say, hey, Spencer, you do a lot of improv. Where should I take improv? And it's hard for me to answer that question because I feel like there's a lot involved in like choosing somewhere that would be right for someone. But now with improv being widely accessible from anywhere in the world, no matter where you are, you can take any kind of improv. What is one piece of advice or a tidbit or two that you would give to someone if they came up to you and said, where should I take improv?
Take it anywhere you can, really. I know that that sounds easier than it might be, but maybe it is super easy. I don't know. There's a ton of schools in LA, more than just like, the couple big schools that everybody likes to reference, like UCB and Groundlings. But if you're in a smaller city, there's probably an improv school. Just take it there. Just get up on stage with people and with strangers, because you're gonna meet people. And for me, the most important part of my improv training was community. I really only went through 2 programs. I went through the Second City Hollywood program, the conservatory and long form, and then I did the iOS program right before it shut down. I was literally the last graduating class, and we did our graduate show on the Second City Hollywood stage because we no longer had a stage.
I remember
but
that
yeah,
moment very well.
yeah, I know.
I was the Twitter intern at that time, and someone said, "Did you hear IO's closing?" And I was like, "Uh, what's happening? Should I be tweeting this out or what?" And I got an email that
Yeah,
was just like, "Don't do anything. Please don't do anything, interns. You're done."
yep,
It
yep.
was like, oh, yikes.
Same boat. I was an intern. I think I had finished my internship a couple months before because I had acquired all of the hours I needed to finish
I have
5.
220 unused
I
hours at
know,
IO.
dude. Oh man, that's rough. Uh,
220.
that's a lot of unpaid labor.
A lot of time.
But I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. So
So
if any improv schools want to like let me take a class, just shout out, "Hey, I got 220 hours. I'm willing to give you my hours."
yeah, right. But yeah, so anyway, my point being, community was the most important thing at both of those places, because starting from the beginning and working my way up through both of those, I had like this core group of people. Some it would change a little bit, but you were all kind of coming up together, and you were learning together, and you were getting your reps in together, and you were figuring it out together.
Yep.
And you've it's the art form that you've got to do together. And so having that community is the most important thing. You have to have people you can trust, instructors you respect and who respect you, and a space that is willing to give you time to explore your emotions and psyche on stage, because that's really what you're doing. And we can talk about the different schools of thought, but even within schools of thought, like I've had coaches at Second City who were in the middle of taking classes at UCB, and so they brought all of their UCB training into the coaching. So
Mhm.
suddenly they were speaking a different language than I was used to, but I got something out of it.
Right.
And you'll get something out of everywhere you go, even if you're learning things that you disagree with. You're still learning that you disagree with one thing that somebody says or whatever, and
Yep.
picking the pieces that you want, and finding the community and the method that speaks to you the most. Community, 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 community. It's all about community.
Yeah, it's great. I think one of the biggest things is if you take one improv class and you don't like it, maybe try a different improv class at a different place and see if it's better, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
just being like, I don't like improv, I'm out. Like,
Right.
because sometimes you may find a place that you're like, not really feeling this, but like then you go to another place and you're like, oh yes, this is where I want to be. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's great with the idea of community. It's like maybe you're not like no one here. You're like, I wouldn't really hang out with any of these people, but like maybe you go to another place. And you're like, I would totally get a beer with that person after every show.
Right.
Like you might run into that. So I think the community idea is great.
Yeah. And I think just different classes as well. Like you could take
Mm,
one class with one teacher, one set of people, and it doesn't speak to you, but you could take the same class with a different teacher and a different group of people, and it might just click for you. So
that's
you
true
never
too.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah, you never know.
but definitely don't give up after one class. Try a couple
No,
and at least see
no.
what.
Yeah. And a lot of schools will offer their little like taste of days where you can come and just like audit classes. Highly recommend doing that if
Mhm.
you're in the search for a school.
Especially because you can do there'll be different teachers for different months or different days or whatever, different
Yep.
classes, so you can get a sense of like you're like, I wasn't sure if I really like this. Let me come back and see it again for free and
Yeah,
see what if like a different teacher would be more beneficial for me. So I think that's
exactly.
also a
If
good
you
point.
audit 5 classes from one place and you don't like any of the teachers, well, then maybe that place isn't for you.
Yep.
But don't give up after just one.
Yeah, it's like finding the needle in the haystack. You might
Yeah.
find that perfect needle, just the needle, I guess,
That
in the haystack.
perfect needle. Ooh, love that perfect needle.
Yeah, right. The one needle already in the haystack is the perfect needle.
It
Uh,
is.
needles are sharp.
As somebody with a lot of tattoos, I'm just constantly searching for the perfect needle.
Yeah, right. And I'm the exact opposite. I don't like getting needles. When I have to get like shots and stuff, I'm like the person who they're like, okay, look away. I'm like, no, 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 no. I have to watch it go in my arm. And and it's like they're like I'm like if I was like you're gonna tell me you're gonna count and do it on 3 and you're gonna do it on 2. I gotta watch that go into my arm. I'm like, I know your trickery. I know what you're doing. You're trying to calm me down. I'm like, I'll be fine. But then I went to get my when I went to get my first COVID vaccine, the uh the nurse she like she like rolled up my sleeve and then she like did the pad on my arm. And as soon as she did the pad, she goes, "Oh, you have very sensitive skin." And I was like, just wait till the needle goes in.
And a geyser of blood just shoots up into her face.
Yeah, it was fine. But then the second time, the second one I went and got, she was like, all right, like she goes, this is her first or your second shot. I'm like, it's my second one. Don't give me the wrong one. but but then but then I was like, but the first nurse told me that like I had like sensitive skin. Like I don't know. And then she goes and does the pad and she goes, oh yeah, I can tell.
Whoa.
I was
Dang.
but it was like because my like when they did the little like alcohol pad, my hair stood up. Like that's how like it was just like.
I see.
And then people were joking about it because she's like, "Oh, you have sensitive skin," and and that was before the shot. So it was funny. Anyway, Grady, thanks so much
You
for
have
joining
sensitive
me.
skin and a sensitive heart.
Yeah, I'm just sensitive emotions, sensitive emotions. I feel like that's
Oh yeah.
kind of like redundant. Also, I don't know why I think this is redundant because they're different. They're different. I don't know.
Redundant synergy.
Yeah, you know. Well, thanks so much for joining me for the Improv Summit. I
Of
said that
course,
was the
it's my
last question I
pleasure.
had for you. But as always, I'm a big old liar on this show. And I actually have one more question.
What?
And that question is, we've been talking a lot about improv. You want to do some improv?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's do it. Do you want a scenario or just like a suggestion?
I think a suggestion.
Okay. Do you want a location, relationship, or award?
Let's do a location this time.
And then do you want to initiate or you want me to initiate?
I'll initiate.
Okay, great. I'll give you 2 locations and you can pick which one you want.
Okay.
So the suggestion options are seaside cottage or uh, a medieval dungeon.
Funny you should say that. I'm gonna take this. Wait. Oh shoot. Wish there was an easier way to do this.
Can we put them in the chat?
Wait, no.
Oh, which one
I'm
is that? The cottage?
I'm basically in a medieval dungeon.
Oh, you're doing the dungeon. Okay.
No, I'm just saying, look at my
Oh, I see.
my
Oh,
setup.
yeah.
I'm
I see.
basically in a dungeon.
Yeah, that's funny. Cottage dungeon.
Here, no, let me take this back off. I just wanted to show you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Back to space.
Yeah.
Okay.
So seaside cottage or medieval dungeon?
Let's do a medieval dungeon.
Okay, great.
That's wild. So I was unpacking a new shipment of shackles that came in. They've all rusted off of each other. They've all sort of broken on the chains. They can't even work now. Got to send them back to Scotland.
That's what I'm here for. You just to to be the person who goes back and forth to return things and bring things. That's what I'm here for.
Oh, good. I need more shackles before these guys start running off. They're all running off up to Adrian's wall.
How many shackles do you need?
Oh, the lot of them, as many as you can find. Look, would you
Yeah,
clean up a bit of this? Could you clean up these guts too? They're starting to stink.
yeah, sure. And I can get you 500 shekels for a really great price. It'll be 86 shekels. I can get you 500 shekels for 86 shekels, and I will clean up all of the
Oh, I don't
guts.
have to pay for it because I'm just, an employee of the state, so budget is no concern.
Oh, okay, great. I'm just gonna, I don't know where you want me to start first, the guts or the shekels.
Oh, the guts. They smell something awful, and they got on the bottom of my shoe.
Oh, well, here, give me your shoe. I'll clean that up first.
Yes, thank you very much.
That for you.
That's great. Sure, I'm glad that they gave us interns this season. I
I'm
hope
not
you're
even getting
learning a
paid.
lot. Of course not. You're an intern.
Yes, sorry, overstep my boundaries.
You're getting paid in the knowledge of the most efficient ways to torture people in the name of the Lord.
And one day it'll lead to a lot of great work.
Oh,
Paid,
yes.
very big paid work.
Great big paid work. You get to spend all day in a dark, dank, rancid, wet, moist dungeon, just like
I'm
myself.
I'm working on the guts. I'm sorry. It'll take some time to clean up. Maybe it won't be so dank and rancid once I clean up the guts.
Oh, if you could make a dungeon like this not dank and rinsed anymore, well, I think that you'd be ready for a promotion forthwith.
Oh, well, maybe I could have your job.
I don't get ahead of yourself there.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the only job in the dungeons.
I'm gonna get you transferred to a place like Suffolk, or Gloucestershire, or Nottinghamshire, or Eucalyptusshire, or London.
What? I kind of like this dungeon though. Don't send me anywhere.
You like this dungeon? I'm gonna take that as a compliment because this is my dungeon. I've been in charge of this dungeon for don't even know how long. I've been down here for so long I lose track of time. I don't get to see the sun rise or set anymore.
Well, I got everything cleaned up. Hopefully it doesn't smell too bad.
Tell me about this sunset. What does the sunset look like now?
I'm, I'm not at liberty to say.
Not at you forbidden for telling me about the sunset.
When you're the dungeon master, you can't do anything outside of the dungeon.
Oh God. What am I
Like
doing with
that.
my life?
I mean, if you want, we can switch. I can be the dungeon master. You can be the intern.
Yeah, you know what? Why don't we do that? You be the dungeon master and I'll be the intern, so I can just go outside and get a look at the sunset for once.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Let's do it. I'll be the dungeon master then.
Okay, great. Here's my ring of keys.
Great. Here's the scrub bucket. I need you to finish scrubbing the guts.
Oh, fantastic. Wait, I've got to scrub the. Oh, yeah, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do now that I'm the
The
intern. All
intern.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have your salary.
I Well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. If you're the dungeon master and I'm the intern, you get my salary as well.
Great. So it'll work out for both of us.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I think this is an appropriate arrangement. As
Yeah.
long as I
Oh,
get to see the sunset.
yeah. So about that, because you're the intern, you're not allowed to leave the dungeon.
What? Says who?
Says me, the dungeon master.
Oh, man. Gosh, I really put myself. I don't like being an intern. I shouldn't have given up my position as a dungeon master. I guess this is the only way.
Well, maybe one day you can be a dungeon master just like me.
Oh, yeah, maybe I can. Maybe one day I'll clean up this dungeon all spick and span, and they'll make me the dungeon master.
Yeah, maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Oh, I dream of that day. And then I can make the rules. And then I can leave and go see the sunset.
Well, now that you're in the dungeon, you'll never be able to see the sunset. They won't let you leave. But thanks for the
dark...
job.
Oh, you're welcome. The Dark Ages sure do suck, don't they?
Scene. All right. Thanks everybody so much for coming to the Improv Summit. I'm Spencer. That's Grady. See you next time. Bye.
Bye!